Yeah.
You guys can sit at the table.
Okay. I didn't know how important we were.
All right, so just start. Let's hope this is ready. Okay, cool. Let's just start throwing out some words of the first things that come to mind.
Stress. Confused.
Stress. Confused.
Nerve-wracking. Intense.
Pressure. Anything else?
Cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yay, you're positive.
Anything else? How can we turn stress and pressure into more positive words? I'm sure it was stressful and felt like a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on my shoulders. Frame that in a positive way. Challenging. I like that. All right. Is there, I think, confused and nerve-wracking kind of similar? Is there any way to phrase that in a positive way?
Like a lot to learn.
Good. Learning opportunity?
It's problem solving. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. All right. And what about intense? Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Okay, so I like challenging, learning opportunity, critical, problem solving. I'm not belittling your feelings because we were having conversation earlier about no one forgets the first code ever as a nurse. It sticks with you forever. Mine was in nursing school in 1985, and I can relive it like it was yesterday, right? And do you want to share your story?
I did phone running earlier too. It's interesting to be on like this side of things because it's really like in your shoes. But then once you have your first code, I think it's like very helpful to have this because even though you probably feel flustered and like all these negative feelings, it's normal. But at least you will have had that already. And then when you do have your actual first code, maybe you've already like processed through some of those feelings, and although it'll be on a real patient, you'll probably be like better equipped to handle it, I think. But I was telling them earlier, like it brought me back to my first code. I was like on orientation in ICU, and I was under the false impression that when you have surgery, you're fixed at the time. And so I like walked in to get reported with my preceptor. And she just looked at the patient and she was like, go grab Epi, bicarbonate, calcium, and told me all these things to grab out of the Texas. And I'm like, why? I'm like, I'm a good patient. Like, they had surgery yesterday. Like, it should be good. And within the first hour of our shift, the patient coded. And she's like, Carly, come grab your real estate. Like, just handed me, like, the port to, like, push meds. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. Like, I was just, like, over my head. And I actually, like, I couldn't see out of my left eye because I got so stressed out. I was like, oh my god, I can't even really see right now. And even after it happened, I still couldn't see. So I was like, Sarah, not to make it about me, but like, I really can't see. And she's like, okay, good, step out, have orange juice, go come back into your business. And then like an hour probably had went by, and I was like, alright, I'm good. And then she was like, well, how good are you? Because you have to come clean your spot again because I'm taking code mel. And I'm like, oh my god. And by that time, I kept my vision, but then I got a very bad migraine afterwards. And it was just stress. Like, that's all it was. It was just like, So I think all these negative feelings are like, they're fine. And the more that, if you guys work in ICU, or even if you don't, and you encounter codes and all those things during your career, I think you'll be able to better process them the more times you experience it. And you guys will do a good job.
I think my most stressful code was the patient I found on the floor by the B garage lobby at Lankenau when I was going to the apothecary to get medicine to make my nose stop dripping on the patient that day. Because I was out on my ICU setting, I didn't have a monitor, I didn't have anything. And I'm like, okay, I've been an ICU nurse for 15 years and I don't know what to do with this lady that's lying on the floor. So, alright, but thank you for kind of spinning those. So what went right? What do you think went right? What did you feel good about?
Yeah, communication.
I agree 1,000% for both groups. I don't know how you guys felt. I thought communication was super. What else?
There's like no hesitation. Everyone was ready to take action.
Awesome. Action ready. And I personally did not, if you fumbled, I didn't see it. Right? I didn't see it. I remember a brand new nurse in our ICU during a code situation and the cardiac surgeon screaming, "They can't stop shaking!" And she was pushing meds, and she's trying to get into the IV. This is what was going on. And I was recepting, and he yelled at me, "They can't stop shaking!" And I'm like, okay, well, maybe if you stop yelling, stop shaking, and we'll all be good. All right, what else? What else went right?
The scores were good.
I thought your reports were outstanding, but I didn't hear a lot of the S-bar. I heard the situation, and then they went through, like, all the others, right? So, and that's okay, because you hit everything you were supposed to. Thorough. I would say your reports were very thorough, and you guys didn't write anything down, right? You did it all from here. Awesome. What else?
And you piggybacked off of each other. You'll find as you get more experience, one person will give the report, and you'll just chime in if you notice something's missing. So that's experience. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. So I think
you
it
learn.
was very collaborative, and that was a good thing. What else? What else went well?
I thought everyone was pretty adaptable. Like, if
I agree.
somebody gave a suggestion, everyone was like pretty good about like hearing what they were saying and trying to adjust what they were doing. I guess being more effective.
I agree. So I always say some days as a nurse, F is the word of the day, but it's flexible, not the other F word that I'm thinking of, right? But I thought that was, I saw all of you taking a bunch of different roles, so I agree with that wholeheartedly. What else? Someone else trying to
Oh, I was gonna say, like, knowing when to ask for help. I think Allie and I could just call the doctor, like, I don't know. I'm like asking the other nurses like what they should do because sometimes they don't.
And you didn't delay. Like, you didn't hesitate, you didn't delay asking for help.
Never be afraid. Nothing, no question is stupid.
Yeah. And you will regret not asking that question more
Better,
than you would ever regret.
Better to call with something you think is dumb early than an hour later and it is delayed and somebody could have actually come up and probably prevented you even going down that road.
And even if your intuition tells you something's not right, if say the nurse practitioner or resident, whoever like you're reporting to, like doesn't find what you're saying, you can go to your charge nurse and be like, hey, like
Come late, look.
Get another set of eyes, because it doesn't mean just because the person that you're reporting to like isn't seeing it wrong. They could just have it wrong, you could have it right, but don't think that just because you don't have like years under your belt, don't make yourself feel that you're not capable of figuring it out. Seeing something that's not right.
And even if you're just describing it as like something sounds funny or something doesn't look right, that's
okay.
That's absolutely okay. What else? What else went well?
CPR and
Right.
And switching.
Your arm swing is right on.
Yeah. That's it. No gym tomorrow.
Yeah. What else? Alright, that's a good list. That's a list to be proud of. Alright. What were you, if you were able to do this again, what would you do differently and why?
I said make the role of each person a little more known.
Okay.
Yep. Did you complete everything?
Who's doing CPR.
Thank you.
It's like the director.
Yeah, like who's giving reports.
I didn't know if I was the director of it.
During code.
Yeah, like when they said like, whose code is this? And there's 2 med-surg nurses.
Nurses,
Like,
yeah, I was like,
ours?
yeah, I was me and Kelsey's.
So based on the video you guys watched, the code video, what do you think the role should have been?
Like someone directing stuff.
Like a
It's like,
documentary.
yeah,
Someone, like 2 people doing CPR, 1 person doing like the breathing,
Someone doing that.
someone doing meds.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a little different in simulation because we did want to try to give you guys all, well, as many of you as we can, opportunities to push master to get on the checks. But yes, how they show you in that video is how it should be. Is that how it always is?
No.
Not always. Not always. And I've been, and you guys probably will, have been in many codes where I've been the one saying, stop! Who's running this?
Mhm.
Because there's 3 people yelling out orders at one time, and you only need orders from 1 person.
Yeah. It's not normally a nurse, right? Normally the physician.
It's usually the doc. Yeah, whoever the or nurse practitioner.
There is a true code team that comes.
Yeah.
They are designated, whoever's on that day, they carry the code beeper.
Okay.
It's usually a medicine, whether it's a 4th-year resident or fellow.
If you're in a teaching.
Yeah, if you're in teaching. And then usually an attending floats somewhere. Whoever the hospital is will show up, and they'll kind of back up that person, but it's usually medicine that runs, and then surgery may show up if it's their patient. But that person should be in charge. So if somebody starts to take over, now where you'll see hairy problems is when one of them, who's supposed to be running things, starts to try to put in lines and stuff, and they shouldn't be doing that. So whoever is supposed to be the code leader should remain here as the code leader. The problem is they should be delegating, and if they start doing tasks, then you no longer have a leader.
Yes.
You will see chaos, complete, utter chaos,
And in that video,
especially on the floor.
I think they do an overly good job of delineating roles, and that is how it should be. We had 2 ICUs where I worked. 1 from each unit would respond to the code, and there was 1 ICU nurse that if I showed up the code with her, I was always like, oh god, because she would be the one barking out orders, and I knew it would be a code where I would be saying, stop.
Right. Because that's not her job.
Who's in charge, right? But you have to have someone in charge, or it is chaos. So that's very good. The roles is a great example of something that maybe.
And if you don't know what you're supposed to do, and you are an integral part, like it was your patient or you were one of the first people who got there, say, you know, I'll take that. If you notice something's not being done, I'll document it, or I'll do something, or ask, do you need me to do something?
Yeah.
Because if all the roles are taken, get out.
Yeah.
Be a runner.
What else would you do differently, and why? If you could do this again.
I think in our group at least, when the doctor was asking about like our patient's prior meds and we could not tell her when the last time the patient had the med was, we should have been a little bit more familiar.
I was gonna say, that was
chart.
Yeah, I would think too.
Yeah.
Look over
I
there.
cannot figure out.
We're all just experimenting.
And was it there, and you just couldn't find it, or was what was there?
Think about it. It's an NPO, but then, like, it's NPO, but then you don't know. I couldn't see them.
Only one back one.
Yeah.
But either way, you still should be.
Okay, so let's think about this. So he was found down for, what did they say, up to
20 hours.
Okay, and then he came in, and they knew right away he was going for surgery. So he was probably MPO then for the day of surgery. And then since surgery, he's been vomiting and not had anything. So now thinking about that time frame, when do you think is the most likely last time he received this medication?
The day before.
Like 2 days.
The day before.
The day before surgery, potentially.
But the 20 hours.
Or it could potentially have been before he got. if we're not seeing something documented on the chart, maybe we didn't do anything since he's been in the hospital, and then you have all that time since before he's out. Awesome. So what else? What else did you feel you could have done differently?
Documentation. Just like keep track of what's going on.
Yeah.
And like you're switching every 2 minutes.
Yeah. And we intentionally, I went back and forth about giving you guys a code sheet to record on, and I kind of felt that doing the skills and being able to observe and not focusing on that would be more helpful where you are now. But as a new nurse, grab
that's a great document.
because that's a safe place to be. Now, if it's your patients, your role, talking about roles, is telling the team what happened. And every one of you that were med-surg nurses did an awesome job. Respiratory therapy came in, asked you. Anesthesia came in, asked you. The doc came in and asked you. ICU came in and asked you. And you had it right there. You knew exactly the description of how you sequenced what happened to the patient was perfect. All right? But yes, documentation for sure. What else? Anything else you would like to done differently?
Maybe like focusing on the task you're doing. Because I know like during CPR sometimes like the bagger was trying to talk to someone else but needed to bag or like
That's a really good example, and that happens in reality. I know when I taught you guys VATS, I said that very first HeartMate 1, you had a hand pump, right? And we put it on the floor during the code, and then I'm getting busy hanging that saline bolus that the doctor ordered for you guys. Someone would yell out to me, "No, pump!" Right? Because you get focused on that task you're doing, and then that patient has no heartbeat because with HeartMate 1, with the pumping. Thank goodness HeartMate 2 has its own little backup. Anything else? Don't remember what happens in 28 stays in 28, so don't feel like you can't share something that you felt didn't go well.
This is pretty specific, but I remember like administering med, and I like didn't use an alcohol swab on the IV. I didn't even have gloves on, so.
I love it. Because I said after the first group, I'm like, no one even thought to wipe that IV port. Reality is a lot of times in a code.
Nobody does.
But
it's a very good thought, though.
Safety concepts.
But it does often get skipped.
The other thing I'm going to share for both groups is no one identifies the patient. Neither group in the beginning or at any point tried to say the patient. Everyone walked in, "Hi, Mr. Downs, I'm so-and-so." No one asked him his name, no one asked him his date of birth. And I know you got a report that he was confused, and maybe that kind of skewed you this way. But that's a very good observation. What else? How about kind of anesthesias viewpoint?
What am I saying?
What could we do better?
I mean, I feel like it would be hard to critique considering it was the first time. I think you guys did really good overall. I think if I were to say like anything, it's experience and just like, think about all of these things, and when you're in the moment, just slow it down. It's so easy to get flustered in the moment, but if you're the bedside nurse, like you're the bedside nurse. If you're the documenter, you're the documenter. Always look at that name band, think with allergies. If you're giving a medication, know what you're giving. And when you tell someone how much you gave, refer to it as like milligrams, micrograms, whatever it is, not cc's, because
that's why I asked you what you gave.
just because that can vary, and that doesn't really mean much unless you know what the concentration was anyway. So I would say that, and then I guess, if you're doing CPR and we're up at we take over next ventilating, we once you guys are going to do a pulse check after 2 minutes, then that's when we'll put the tube in. The bed doing us for the next pulse check. So we would have time. Maybe we wouldn't have time to do that actually during a code. Maybe we would just do it in the midst of concussions, but ideally that's how it would go. And I think as far as SBAR and stuff, a report, that's so tricky as a new nurse. I know when I was a new nurse, would write out my report. I would, when someone would give me a report, not during a code, but just in general, like, write down the things that you don't want to forget telling someone. So that way you can be, like, succinct, and then eventually you won't need it. But starting out, I think that's good. I mean, yeah, and just being, like, confident. Like, you guys are smart, and you have what it takes to, like, have a role in the code, and it'll come fine. Yeah. Yeah, just don't like run from the code. If you're like a new nerd, some people are like, oh, I don't want to go. Go. Because you're not going to get good at it if you run from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So I forgot to bring the sheet with the objectives on it. So what are did you meet the objectives? Do you feel like you met the objective of being able to respond to a declining patient condition and to be participatory in a code as part of the team? And so maybe not.
We just had like a question when we were sitting here, and I think Elsie brought it up. Was this supposed to be representative of a fat embolism?
Oh, we're going to get there. So you hold that thought because that's a really good thought. We're going to get there. Very good.
Yeah,
very
it's a good differential.
Very good. All right. So the question 5 is very similar to 2 and 3. But if you think about the broader team aspect, and I think what I heard was you felt like you worked well together as a team. But is there anything as a team, working with the code team, with anesthesia, with a physician, what went well, what was frustrating, what would you do differently if you think of it from a team?
For us, we were pretty like hesitant to know what to do. Which was just trying to kind of be like all looking at each other or
right.
Kind of.
And so your role, Alana was supposed to be your preceptor, and you were supposed to be brand new ICU nurses. So that's a real feeling. Like, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Okay, so for the team, am I fulfilling my role on the team? And I think you all did. I hope you feel that way. What else? Anything else from a team perspective?
I think it was helpful to have like the respiratory therapists in this because I didn't previously, like I wouldn't have known their roles, and like now I understand like come in like you're pulling out the bed so that they can intubate and that they do take over the bagging, so for future reference I know what their role is at the time.
Good. That's perfect. Anything else?
Did it make sense to you that the things you have to do before anybody else shows up, you see that you're there first? We don't show up right away. So I think you guys got the gist of what you have to do before anybody else comes. You are first on the scene. We'll trickle in.
Yeah.
But you're the primary person that's going to be right there. So remember, you don't have to be, if you're on the floor, you're not going to have ACLS. Unless you voluntarily went and took it yourself because you wanted to. It's not a requirement when you're on a med-surg floor. But you do have BLS, so always remember your BLS. Grab the bag and start CPR and call for help.
And that's why like closed loop communication is so huge, especially like during a code. It's so important to say if the attending says, okay, I want blank mic to Becky. Then someone's drawing that up, they hand it to you as the bed nurse, you say, okay, I'm giving blank mic to Becky. And then you give it and say, Becky given. And then that's for the documenter, for everyone here, but the documenter then can write that down. You just hear that, someone hands you Becky, eventually you give it, you never respond that you gave it, no one knows if you did it. And then you forget what time you did, you're like, oh yeah, I don't know how much I gave someone to hand me a syringe. So, not just with meds, but even like a fluid bolus. Okay, fluid bolus is hanging, going in. Okay, we're at 2 minutes now, let's switch. Like, just constantly talking to each other because things get messed up.
Right. And I think, to go back to the IV and the patient piece, I just remember a code where in the middle of the code they asked us to get an AccuCheck to see what the sugar was. So the tech in the hall set the AccuCheck up, we did it, and then after the code, when I went looking for what the result was, and it wasn't there, I realized the tech put the wrong patient's name in. So I know it's chaotic, but a glance at that wrist, I mean, now you have to scan the wristband to do the Accu-Tech. That was not the case back then. But again, don't forget those basics. All right, what else? All right, how about from an individual perspective? So question number 6 says, were you satisfied with your ability throughout the sim? And it's okay if you weren't.
I feel like we already touched on this, but I would say like making sure you stick with your goal and you don't like gravitate to another one. So like if you're the med giver, you don't like document the same time.
Unless you're asked to switch. Sometimes that happens. They may need another person to do the chest because everybody's tired. So you make sure you identify you're going to switch. And you take it. And this is where I'm at on the documentation.
Anything else from your individual?
Going back to saying focus in the past, like I got distracted at one point and then realized I was doing professionals too well. So just like little things like that.
And in reality, someone would have told you that. Someone would have said, hand placement, go harder, go slower, someone else get up there.
I was doing the bag, and like people were also asking questions, so I was the med circular, so I was like answering that, and I would forget, and then like the person like commented just like, okay, bag now, there you go. And then I wasn't able to like answer the person's question because like I was focused on the bag.
Yeah. So even though you guys multitask all the time, right? Multitasking in a code can be tough. Anything else? How many of you have seen or participated in a code before today?
That's a lot.
Did it feel like what you saw?
Well, I don't know if mine was exact. It wasn't like this kind of code, maybe more so rapid response. But I was on like a postpartum floor, and like a mother had a postpartum hemorrhage, and I was like the one documenting everything. But I didn't really like know exactly what I was documenting, so I really wrote everything that happened down there. Like, oh, this is very thorough. I didn't know really what you wanted from me, so.
Great. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to add? All right, we'll go to page 2, which says, let's figure this out. Let's figure out what the heck happened to Mr. Downs, right? Okay, so tell me what you know about Purcell. Tell me what you know that you think is pertinent to the end result of today.
Like been using the bed for so long.
Okay, so fell plus hospitalization yields long immobility, right? Okay, what else?
History of Parkinson's.
Okay, expand. What does that mean for him?
So like the affect, they have like tremors, he requires like specific medication.
Okay, so in the beginning, when you were assessing him and talking to him and trying to determine orientation, was there anything you noted that you would have put back on his Parkinson's disease neurologically? Or anything you've heard in the report?
His affect was like he had like a weird affect, like his Parkinson's, so he's gonna have like a flat affect.
What else?
And you said the wife.
Is he really depressed when the wife's passing, or are we assimilating a flat affect for depression? What else? Could you hear him well?
He's talking very quietly.
Just asking about the groceries.
Why would he talk quietly? Physiologically, what would make him talk more quietly because of his Parkinson's? Okay, note to self, no dangly earrings with this sweater from the
Gonna be hanging yourself.
Why do you think, like, how are the quiet speech and the Parkinson's attached?
Is it from like the bradycardia?
It can be, and it just can be from the muscle weakness that they can't use the muscles they need to use to speak in a loud enough or in a normal challenge voice. Anything else about his Parkinson's? Right. What else was part of his history that might have gotten us to where we were today? So the knee replacement from before. So we had knee replacement prior.
And he had diminished breast sound and was doing PVCs.
Decreased breath sounds. And what was the last thing you said?
He was throwing PVCs previously.
Okay. How might they be connected? Say it again. Stress and anxiety can, so question, stress. What else? What are other causes of PVCs that might be tied to these decreased breath sounds? Why did he stay impacted? He was desatting, nausea, vomiting. Can low oxygen cause PVCs? Yes. What could have caused the low oxygen? Could this have So what? Connect them. Vomiting, and then he did what? Yeah. So questionable. And I think they said that in the report, right? And by they, I mean me. Aspiration, right? Questionable aspiration. And in looking at what's up here, what could lead to the aspiration?
He was lying down.
Okay, positioning. And what else?
His weak muscles.
Yes. Awesome. What else? Vital signs? What do you think about his vital signs?
Pretty good. We got him.
Yeah, initially perfect. That didn't last long, right? So what was the first thing about his vital signs? Okay. Elevated temp. And then through the scenario, what was the first thing you noticed with his vital signs that were concerning?
What ECG?
So we started having what? The PVCs, right? So we'll go down here, and what else?
No respiration.
Okay, so eventually we got to none. And then blood pressure none.
Blood pressure was plummeted.
Which one went first? Yes. What's in his history that might make you ignore that for a minute?
Hypertension.
Okay, and he just had surgery. So what else after surgery might make that go up? Right? So did you get excited about the blood pressure going up initially? One group did. One group was, I don't know if you said it. If you said it, I didn't hear it, and that's fine. Right? But y'all got excited when it started going. Okay. All right, I feel like we've summarized him pretty well. Okay, so now, based on this, and we all know the end result, what would you consider his primary problem? Okay, so if we put his medical diagnosis here, I'm sorry that I can't have this. So his medical diagnosis is status post ORIF of the hip, right? We'll say nausea, vomiting, questionable aspiration, and pachyl, right? And what else do we have over here? Parkinson's disease, and history of hypertension. Okay, so primary problem, but what do we think is causing the PBC? What did we say we thought was causing it? Yeah, okay. So hypoxia, which is then causing PBCs, which could cause decreased tissue perfusion, right? So we'll call this problem number 1, problem number 2. What's another problem for the patient? Okay. How about another one? Okay. I would probably put that up there. Or we could even put it there. What else? Any other problems for him?
Yeah, maybe he has stomach hurt.
We never really delineated why that was happening. But y'all did a focused assessment, both groups, so that was nice to see. Is there a 5th problem?
Disorientation.
Yeah. Confusion.
Which could lead to like infection.
It could. What else is, we see confusion first? Okay, good. So, question UTI, good. Question fat embolism. What was the other one? Somebody said something else. Infection. What about, do we ever see confused patients when they're this? Yeah. Okay. Anything else? I think that's good. So if we focus on hypoxia, so let's think about the chain of events. So if we're saying this primary problem was hypoxia, which led to what? Which led to what? Which then resulted in what? More decreased stats, which then landed us finally where? Yeah, VPAC, pulseless VPAC, right? Which was the main reason you guys called the code, right? Alright, so what are you going to do for his hypoxia as a nurse? So if the first group did this and missed it, where was his nasal cannula when we got in on Yeah. So the first thing you do, so nursing actions, the first thing is what? O2. And what else? All of you did this, I think. Yeah, positioning, right? Did that fix the problem? No. Okay. All right. So what else would you? And then you called the doc, right? When it got concerning. So that was good. Is there anything else we could have done, do you think, in your role as the med-surg nurse to fix that hypoxia before we got to VTAC? Was the problem already in existence that's causing the hypoxia, or is it something we can fix? So So let's go back to the thoughts about the causes. What do you think might be causing it? You guys already said aspiration, yeah. So can you do anything for the aspiration at this point as his med surg nurse? Right, but you can prevent it, right? So you try to prevent further by keeping him MCO. What else? If he's vomiting that much, what might he have needed sooner rather than later? Anti-nausea meds, good. Fluids, what else? Good. Positioning. So IV fluids, antiemetics, position. And one more thing. What did anesthesia put in at the end? Yeah, could we have, could PACU, if he kept vomiting all night, maybe have asked for an NG tube to keep his stomach empty if they were worried that he was aspirating? Maybe. All right, what else do you think? So the cause is aspiration. We talked about ways to prevent it. What else? What do you think might have contributed to causing the aspiration? Yeah. And what caused his weak muscles? His Parkinson's. And what made them weaker than normal? Right. Okay. Does anyone want to talk about the fat emboli theory? You guys brought that up earlier.
The triad is it's usually after a long bone fracture, and it's respiratory distress, also non-status, and
No TBI. But we didn't check for that, but I don't think that would be on the mannequin.
We would have put it on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he have it?
We didn't check.
You guys looked at his scan. What do you think?
I looked at his abdomen, and I don't remember seeing it.
Okay. So he didn't have petechiae. He did have a long bone fracture. He was vomiting. He did have respiratory distress. Okay. So how would you delineate the cause? Is the true cause of his aspiration and hypoxia because of his weakness, because he didn't have his Parkinson's meds, or was it because of the fat emboli? What would be a diagnostic you might anticipate ordered to figure out if it was a fat emboli? Yeah, viral CT, great. So CT scan to diagnose, right? The fat emboli. Okay. So how many people vote for fat emboli? How many people vote for Parkinson's causing the weakness? Right, cool. Good. Okay, I think we did nursing intervention, associated client responses, evaluation, and summary. Okay. Let's go over to thinking and action. So, I think we talked about this a little bit. What was your first indication that his condition was declining?
Vital signs, descent.
Yeah. Vital signs, static. Need more boards. Move them and use the top. Okay, and you guys all picked up on that right away. All right. How quickly did you recognize it? How did you feel? Yep, I agree. Did you feel like you guys picked up on it, the other med-surg nurses? Yeah, I agree. I thought y'all did a good job with that. How did you communicate to identify changes? So a couple people went a couple different routes. The first team, what did you do?
when we saw his like blood pressure change, and then we saw his VSATs, like heart monitor, I kept looking at the heart monitor. That's when we like wanted to call a rapid response, but then it quickly turned to code. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
And then VSAT took code. Group number 2. What did you guys do?
We called the physician.
Yeah. Neither of those are wrong. They're both right. The MD said they couldn't come, and then he escalated to the VCAC and the code. Okay. I think we already talked about if there's anything you would do differently, and that's what that question is asking. We also talked about communication, which I honestly was the thing that was most outstanding of how great job you guys did was the communication. So now we go back to that hypothesis we were starting to discuss. So we were saying fat embolism versus aspiration as the cause for hypoxia. Is there anything else in his history or anything else that you want to think of as a cause of the hypoxia other than fat embolism and the aspiration from weak muscles from Parkinson's? I agree. Those are the two I would settle on. And then, did your hypothesis change after completing the medication reconciliation? Well, we never completed it, but the doc told you to search for when was the last time. Why do you think the doc was so focused on the levodopa-carbidopa dose?
That's also another thing is the doc kept saying cinnamon, and I knew it was cinnamon because I just did a med card for my patient, but I don't know if other people didn't know that cinnamon is carbidopa.
So what should you do? If the doc says to you, did he have his cinnamon in a code situation, what should you do? Say, I'm really sorry, I don't know what that is. Is there another name for it? Right? Ask. Feel free to ask instead of being like, what is everybody going to do? Because this is what I would do. I would go to the MAC, to the medication administration record, and be like, cinnamon, right? And then I'm not seeing it. And then I would turn around and say, is there another name for that? And even if they're going to be snarky with you, levodopa-carbidopa, you still nurse, right? That's okay. It's rather they're snarky and you can respond to them more quickly than standing there for 5 minutes going, cinnamon, come on, smack me in the face, where are you, cinnamon? Alright, so, what do you think? What do you think about the cause of his hypoxia?
I think aspiration is laying down.
So positioning, we don't know what position he was in PACU when we thought that he had all the aspiration. But the one thing we know for sure is this is a Parkinson's patient who has not received his med for potentially days, right? And what happens sometimes if they just don't get their dose, if they skip a dose? Does anyone know what happens? Do you remember one from 3114? They really decline that really quickly to the point that they can freeze sometimes. We went to the Houston conference, the nursing safety conference this summer, and it was focused on Parkinson's, and we had dinner one night with a Parkinson's patient who was a really high-powered attorney and now has Parkinson's, and the story he told that really sticks with me is when he knows he's due for a dose and he feels that he's starting to freeze. Like if he's driving, he has to like pull over and get that dose in. Wow, driving. But the story that really stuck with me was he said like a month before that, he had taken the dose but it hadn't started working and he could feel he was declining and had to pee so bad and he could not make his muscles work to pull his fly down. So he said he's standing in the men's room trying to decide if he's asking the guy next to him to pull his fly down, if he's peeing himself, or if he can hold it long enough until the med kicked in. And he was able to hold it long enough until the med kicked in. But honestly, before I became involved in these SIMs. As a nurse of 30 years, I had no focus on the fact that Parkinson's meds needs to be given very time specifically at a certain time. If they don't have them, the end result can be this. The end result can be just because this patient didn't get his meds and no nurse said, hey, this is a Parkinson's patient, we need to give him his meds. He's now with an aspiration pneumonia potentially. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to get off my soapbox about that. So the priority thing that you had to do was to give him his cinnamon. Good. And, okay, so what do you feel most proud about? Good. Having a positive outcome for the patient at the end. I like it.
You should always feel proud about that.
Nurses are awful about bragging and taking credit for what they do, right? This is what I want you to not ever do when you've called a doctor 20 times to get more effective pain medicine for your patient, and then you go in and say, the doctor ordered your med, here it is now. No. You say to that patient, I got your pain medicine for you, right? Because nurses aren't good at taking credit for the good things they do. So I give you permission to take credit for something good that you did. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Abby, what's something you feel proud about?
Well, so I went through the first time, so I was way more calm this time, which just shows, I guess, going through
Good. Experience will affect the tone of what's going on in the room. Kelly?
I'm proud about I don't know. I'm like proud that I actually understand
Awesome.
everything, because if I were to do this like 2 years ago, I'd be like, that's for the next one.
Right. So the complexity of this case is hugely complex, and the fact that you're connecting all the dots.
Like I see why something. Everything is like intertwined.
Good.
And I wouldn't understand.
Good. Awesome. Allie?
I was happy with how I gave report to anesthesia and put them on that case. That was like comfortable with the patient, what they were going to be able to rattle off exactly what we did to interview.
All right. That is something to be very proud of. Christine, Catherine. Geraldine. I should know that. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I would say it's just kind of like walking in and right away starting something, which was also the preceptor, because she kind of right away just was like, put these on the patients and hand me the pad. So it was just like, again, kind of not hesitating, even though not like half the time I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but I'm just kind of like switching roles starting it.
Good. All right, this is one of the Catherine. Katie.
I think I'm proud when we walked in the room, like, kind of doing, they always, like, we were going to call this 60-second situation or situational. Like, okay, if he's looking, I'll listen on, his head of the bed was down, like, things like that. And kind of, like, problem solving and figuring, like, doing those simple things first to see if his condition would improve. That's just something that's great to do, at least at clinical, so I'm happy to do it. Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I kind of say similar, like realizing how to
So picking up on small things that can become big things and causing problems. Awesome. Annie?
Like actually knowing how to do CPR.
Good.
Because I felt like, I don't know, not until I got my license renewed this summer that I wasn't fully able to do it or would know exactly what to do, but under that pressure, I feel like I know what I'm supposed to do most of the time.
That's awesome. How do you feel about your hands? Did you feel good or did you feel awkward?
It was a little awkward, but
Yeah. But it came. Alright, and remember, in a real code situation, if you're not doing it right, somebody's going to yell. In a important way, because you have to be doing it right. Alright, hold on. The other Catherine. Okay.
I kind of agree with Kelly, like being able to think through what actually went wrong with the patient and understand that it's more complex than you think, and how you can go about helping him because he has so many issues.
Good. And the fact that you're the person that has to be on top of it and knowing what to do for him. Good.
I guess like I said before, just like being adaptable or like teachable, because I know it's like the IC nurses in the scenario we walked in, we didn't really know what had happened. So just being able to like take the directions of others and do whatever needed to.
Right. And that hearing this brief little, 5-sentence thing from the med-surg nurses. Well, he did this, and then he did that, and then he started desatting, and then his pressure went up first, and then it went down, and then he stopped breathing, and then being like, I got to do something about this was great.
I think just putting all the pieces together, like being in there, walking in as one of the IC nurses and not knowing, but kind of anticipating what was coming next. Like, okay, they have the amber bag, they're compressing, we're waiting on this person to do this. Just kind of seeing the chain of events happen, and it wasn't random. It was, okay, this happens, and then we get this med, and this is why, and I kind of just knew it, I didn't have to think about it. I don't know, it fell into place a lot more than I expected. I kind of expected it to be crazy, and it was a lot more methodical than I thought it would be.
Good.
Yeah, you guys are crazy.
Awesome.
I think you all have great attitudes, and that goes such a long way. As long as you're adaptable, like you guys said, and you're willing to learn, and but trust your own best judgment at the same time. I think you guys will be really good with that. Great.
I think a well-run code is like this beautiful choreographed dance,
Doesn't happen all the time, though.
No, you're right. No, I worked in a unit where, if you want questions, don't go anywhere yet. I worked in a unit where we would end up crashing in the chest if the patient bled out after heart surgery. And so I would kind of do my scope of who's working today and how well will this go if we're crashing into the chest, or how not well will this go. All right, last two questions. Risk management is going to get a report on this if, in fact, it is not a bad embolism, which we're going to say it's not, and the fact that the patient ended up with an aspiration pneumonia and intubated because we didn't give him his Parkinson's meds since he hit the door, and no nurse understood the importance of doing that. Risk management is going to look at this case. All right, and so based on the fact that an error created a need for intubation and a longer hospitalization, what does that mean? Like, who is risk management? What's going to happen? And you guys haven't had leadership yet. This is something we talked about in leadership. What do you think? Do you think it's just going to stay within the ICU and the med-surg floor? Or do you think it's going to be looked at from a broader perspective? Yeah, it'll be looked at from a broader perspective. They might bring a whole team to the table to do a root cause analysis.
They're cool. If you ever get to see one, the map, it is kind of cool to look at how far they go back. I hope it's never on you. But it is neat to see how they actually track back. And where do you think this started? What would have been the first thing that might have prevented this getting this bad?
What's a check that's already in place that could not have been done?
That was not done correctly. Right, and where should that have been done? And when he came into the ED.
And whose responsibility is that?
Everybody.
It's
not just the physician.
The ED nurse, pharmacy, is everybody's responsibility.
Somebody should have picked that up.
To make sure that that was done.
But you'll hear it 1,000 times when you start working, but things will definitely go wrong, like on your shift, and you'll be very easy to blame yourself for it. And but it's always like the Swiss cheese model, like they say, at least where I work, where like sure you could have done something differently, but so could 10 other people that were involved. So it's like really everyone did something wrong, but it's not like a blame game. It shouldn't be. You just have to look at it and learn from it, hopefully.
And that's risk management to be right. They're going to bring a whole team to the table and say, how can we make this not happen again? We had a patient years ago after heart surgery. They never restarted his insulin. And he kept dropping his blood pressure, he kept like having one of these blood pressure spikes, then these blood pressure drops, he was in thyroid storm because no one restarted his central. MedRec was not a thing back in the Stone Age. So
MedRec is not that old.
these processes all come to be because of stumbles and patient harm that happens. And then the last question for you is, so how can we prevent this? If you look to the literature, what are some ways we can make sure that a time-sensitive med, like levodopa, carbidopa, or Cinemat, is not missed, is given? What are some things that you've seen in practice maybe for time-sensitive meds?
Says like due in red, and then it's like 2 hours late.
Yeah, so the screen that was like the red, why the heck did you not give this message, right? But before we even get to the why the heck did you not give this, what else could pop up on that screen?
It's maybe some for tests, and like they can't have their meds, or they should replace on their status and couldn't get their meds.
Right,
So you have to get different forms. And
so if a patient's placed on MPO status, and you go to his medication administration record, right, and mark, what should pop up there? Like, could those two systems talk? Yeah. Like, this medication should not be held. The patient has been ordered NPO. Please do not hold this medication, right? Something to prompt you.
A little sip of water doesn't matter.
What's anything else that you've seen to help nursing remember to give meds, or specific to Parkinson's that you've seen?
Like sometimes if the patient is getting medication that's like very sensitive to blood pressure, something I've seen like a nurse that came up with signs of group like for administration, take blood pressure or something like that. Like patient must receive medication by this time.
Right.
And then the patient too.
Yes, and that's the key part. Let's involve the patient in this, right? Let's say you and your family are responsible to hold us responsible for making sure that you're getting your Parkinson's meds, not just getting it, but getting it on time because of that potential for them to freeze, right? So there was a process started in England where we have the yellow wristbands and this yellow signs for fall risks, but they were using yellow to indicate that the patient had a time-sensitive med or a medication that shouldn't be held. So is there some color that we haven't used in the hospital?
Seriously?
Or something that could be like a wristband to say time-sensitive med, do not hold. Have you guys seen anything like that?
Something that I personally did when I worked as a med nurse, I had like a sheet of paper, like a plain sheet of paper, and I would go home and like make an Excel spreadsheet, say, and it was like hour by hour. And if there was something important for that patient, you can make it so you can stack medications on the same sheet and just hold it in your pocket. But if there's something for that patient that's crucial, time sensitive, highlight it on that hour and write it in the box. The new nurse is going to feel flustered, especially if you have multiple patients or like working in ICU. There's so many tests, but if you write down an hour, okay, I need to do this. I need to turn the patient every 2 hours. So that's huge to the patient, or suction them, whatever. Write it down so you don't forget it.
And communicate it in report. Don't assume that the nurse with 20 years experience who's coming on after you has an understanding that the meds for neuromuscular disorders are very time sensitive, right? I used to write, I would have written like Cinemat across my hand if I had this knowledge base, right? As a reminder to myself.
Check the med record too before that person leaves, just to make if something is overdue, maybe they gave it and didn't scan it. That's happened to me. So check.
Yeah, things are different for you guys. You have a computer record. We were signing stuff out.
Yeah.
They had to make sure people signed their meds out in the thing. They go home. I'd be calling people at 10 o'clock at night because I receive immunosuppressants. I'm like, did you give it? Because you can't re-give it if they really did give it.
Right. So when you do your nurse residency, if you have to do an evidence-based practice project, somebody can do one on what processes do we have in place to make sure that time-sensitive meds are actually given on time, and what are you going to do when nurses
let us know.
right? All right. Anybody a last thought. I thought you guys did great. I hope you're walking away from this feeling positive. It was, I risked it all. It was scary and stressful and blah, blah, blah. But better to be scary and stressful here than
Do you have their post-test?
Abby does.
Oh, great.
You can keep those since we went through them, and I will make sure that your clinical checkers have your pre-work. Did anybody not give you their pre-work?
Carly, you have to take some tests.
Okay.
Yeah, that I can't remember.
Yeah, we're that market.
Okay, after that,
So you're not gonna this. And you're 31.